Okay, so now take us into your acting journey as Ned's kind of like wraps up. You go into school.
Ned's wraps up, and then I then start booking a ton because that was my first thing. But like more like guest stars, commercials, and then but college was a non-negotiable for my family, so I had to go to college, and then but I wanted to be as close to LA as possible, and the closest school I got into that was close to LA was UC Irvine, so I went to UC Irvine.
Cool.
And then I tried doing the back and forth auditioning, and that just became really cumbersome. And so I just kind of took a break from acting to focus on school, just get this school thing over with, and I'll get back to acting. And then I picked up photography. A friend of mine asked me to shoot her wedding. I didn't suck at it, and so people just kept asking me to shoot their wedding.
Wow!
And then I studied journalism at school, and then discovered photojournalism, and then worked under my first like non-acting job was being an intern to this like photojournalist who like had won multiple Pulitzer Prizes, and so I learned everything about photography through him, and then. From there, I just started my business and then was in school and was shooting. And by the time I graduated, acting had then kind of taken like a back seat. And the only thing that people would every now and again would be like, "Are you from Ned's?" And so that was kind of like, sometimes I feel like if I didn't go to school, I could have just rode the train, But photography took over, and then I started my photography business. Got married, and then for some reason I always knew I wanted to act. Like it was always ever since I was like 10. And I remember my mom said when I was 10, well, you have to like really explore all of your options. I hear the acting industry is really tough, blah blah blah. And so I did I did dance, taekwondo, I did music. She just wanted me to explore everything before I went into acting. And then by the time I was 13 or 14, that's when she was like, "Hey, are you still interested in acting?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely, let's do it." And so she helped me get an agent and then went back and forth. And again, I didn't know at the time, but from the time I had said I wanted to be an actor from 10 to 13, she was just saving and accruing her vacation time because she knew she'd have to use it on me one day.
That's so sweet.
Dude.
Yeah. So I know.
Dude.
It's like, it really is a dedication of the parents,
For
Oh yeah,
real.
for sure.
And so I graduated from college, got married, and to be completely honest, I saw that they were going to create the movie Mulan into a live action movie. And I remember thinking, this is going to open up a lot of opportunities for Asian American actors.
Hell yeah.
This was like on deadline, like in 2012,
Yeah.
The movie didn't come out until COVID. So it's 8 years. And I remember thinking, I need to like be back in the industry by the time this happens.
Catch that.
Dude.
And so then I just went back to class for like, I went to the same acting coach that I went to as a kid, and but of course in her adult class, and
Just Michelle in there with the children.
With the kids, right?
just starting right back where I left off.
Yeah, exactly. Weeping.
And I went back to acting class, went diligently for and I said, I'm not even gonna like look for agents until
you're back in the
because
craft.
like it's been years. Like I'm sure the industry's changed.
Yeah.
And then so then I got a manager and then eventually an agent. And again, like my intuition was correct. And by the time I was represented, I was going out like crazy.
Yes.
And then I had a kid.
Yeah, okay.
Whoa! Yes. And then and it wasn't even an accident. Like we wanted a kid,
Hey.
And but I just didn't know how much children just hijack your life.
Wow.
And in the loveliest way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so cuz you see people do it all.
Yeah.
But you just don't know what it takes.
Yep.
And at what cost. And so so I had a kid, and then unfortunately, COVID hit. And I say fortunately because it forced me to be at home with my kid, a time that I never thought I would.
And not worry about going on.
Yes, and
nowhere
and
to go.
And there was nothing happening. And then
timing.
and so then when the industry started opening back up, and I'm like booking a ton, and my like everything I'm booking is like a little higher, and then I remember I went out for my first feature film as a lead. And it, this is the first time I'm talking about this. Like because I keep acting and personal pretty separate, my community doesn't care about my acting life. So and no one really understands. I never lived in LA. So I don't have like a community of actors to like, oh, I just went out for this thing. And I also hate telling my friends like, oh, I have this audition. Because then they'll ask me about it. And then I'm like, I'd rather, yeah, exactly.
No, fully.
And so just keep it separate. And so I remember I went out for a feature film and I went in for a producer session. And then I remember thinking, God, I hope I don't book this because I didn't want to be away from my family for 6 months. And I didn't know what it would look like for me to like logistically, how is this going to work? Like, and I was like, that is such a weird thing to say. Like, I am a working actor and I'm asking God to help me not book this, my first feature film. And I'm like, okay, something is shifting in me, you know? And anyway, so I didn't end up booking it. And I remember being very relieved. And that was a huge reality check for me. In fact, like the more success I was getting in acting, the more stressed I was getting because it was now in conflict with this new value I had.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yes.
Preacher.
And so, I remember, so then that happened and I felt like, okay, all right, I'm in the clear. And so I had all these like little like boundaries for myself. I'm like, okay, I'll do any job that films in LA. I'll do, if it's a guest star, if it's like, I'll fly out if I only have to work for a week or, you know, and
restrictions.
But yes, but then it's like, you're annoying. Like, you know, like I'm like being annoying about, but like, so I would still go out for everything. And then I just found like, again, the more I was booking, the more I was like, oh, I do want to book this one. Oh, I don't want to book that one. But that's like a really good one to get. But then I'd have to figure a lot out. Anyways, long story short, so the casting directors of the movie that I didn't get, they asked to direct book me on a TV show. And so that happened.
Yeah. I
have a now 4-year-old son, Deacon. So when he was 2, he had a seizure in the car. I didn't know what seizures were. I thought he was choking. I pull him out of the car. He is laying limp in my arms, like hanging limp on the side of the road. And I'm screaming for help. And can we just get deep?
Go, baby.
So I literally remember, the day before, I just found out I was pregnant. Okay, so the day before I found out I was pregnant. And we'd been trying. The next day, Deacon has his seizure. I remember being on the side of the road and saying, wow, God, there's like a verse in the Bible that says God gives and takes away. I was like, you are giving new life and you're taking away like my firstborn. And I remember thinking, thank you, God, so much for the 2 years I had with Deacon. Thank you so much for the new life that you're giving. Like, it was just like, I was freaking out, but also I was just like, I was just thankful. I'm like, all right, Lord, like if this is the 2 years I had with Deacon, like, so be it. Like you've provided for me this far. You'll provide for me the rest of my life. Like, you're gonna like get me through this. Wow. And I'm screaming for help. Turns out, it was just a seizure. And so he came out of it, but literally just like looked lifeless.
Wow.
In my arms. Ambulance comes, and so he gets out of it. So that was like traumatic. Yeah. The next day, I get the message from my agent. They want to direct book you for this TV show. It starts next week.
Whoa.
And I was like, I trying to buy time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, can I see the whole script?
Yeah.
Here's an hour.
Can I see the whole? And she's like,
no.
She's like, no, but I'll ask. And they're like, okay, they really want you, so they're gonna send you the whole script. I'm like, I read the whole script, and I'm like, I was just so in conflict because I'm like, then I'm thinking,
and you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And then that same day, I miscarry. Yep.
Dude.
I miscarry. So Deacon's alive, but then I miscarry.
Damn.
Wow.
And so that's why, again, my timeline's all messed up, but it was all within a week. This all I found out I was pregnant.
Oh my
Deacon had a
God.
seizure, and then I got that email from my agent within a week period, and then I miscarry. Like, I think within those emails were sent. So then I miscarry. Like I don't know how graphic I can get. Like I started bleeding in the toilet.
Yeah.
I got the email, and then I remember just being like, I can't. Like it's the time, and there's just way too. I'm not there's just too much going on. And so then my agent was like, it seems like there's a conflict of priority right now. Like, do you need to take a break? I said, yeah. And here's the thing. It was honestly kind of a gift because, actually it was a gift, because I don't think I would have ever had the courage to step away from the dream.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip of Ned's Declassified podcast survival guide. For the full episode, head on over to the Ned's Pod YouTube channel. And we have a bunch of bonus content on Patreon. So if you want that, you can find the links in the description. We love you. Thanks for tuning in.